Well, my friend, ¿cómo estás?
I'm good, man.
Good,
How are
man.
you?
Good to see you here.
Yeah,
Adriel Berrios. All right. And I'm so happy that you're here with us. I know you mentioned to us about the program, Activados.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a blessing to you. And we're glad that I'm glad that you're my friend, a brother, like a brother to us, and like a family member.
Yes.
And I'm glad you're here today. And we're going to talk about yourself. And you're going to talk about yourself, right? So,
yeah.
And I'm glad you're here.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah, it's actually an honor. I was thinking about on the way here, like, man, why me?
Yeah.
Among all people, you got, Pastor Randy, Pastor Samuel Hernandez, and I feel very honored that, you would come to think of me, and I appreciate that.
Yeah,
man.
Pastor David was here not too long ago.
I saw.
Yeah,
I was like, pretty good word there.
So and that's one of the things about this program, this show, is that we want to give opportunities to all of those that that feel like their testimony is going to be an impact to
That's
everybody
good.
that listens. And the whole reason of this platform is to give an opportunity to others, everybody, not just the main people here. So the fact that you're here today is it merits that. You've done a lot of great work in the kingdom of God, and
the glory of God, amen.
God has a place for you in His kingdom, and we can't wait to see what God has to do what has in store for you, because you're still young. How old are you?
21
years old. So you're still young, man. You're still young. I remember when I was 21.
Yeah.
Oh man, them days,
right? Yeah. I'm gonna live it out as best as I can.
Were you excited when you turned 18?
Actually, that's a funny story.
Yeah.
When I turned 18, I was mostly focused on just leaving to boot camp.
Okay.
And I had to also get my driver's license before I left to boot camp, because I would be gone for a long time. So I didn't really, I guess you could say, enjoy being an 18-year-old. It was quick. I turned 18 in April of 2018, and then 2 months from there, I left to boot camp, and then I had to finish up with high school. We had a celebration, but to answer your question, probably not the way you think. Yeah.
Because whenever you turn 18, it's like the most exciting day of your life. You
Absolutely.
should be. You're like, now I'm an adult. And technically, you're not really an adult yet. I mean, a lot of people at 18 are still living with their parents.
Yeah.
I think you become an adult really when you learn about responsibilities and start paying your bills.
When you start getting in debt.
That's start showing up to work on time.
Yeah, man, that's true. That's when you become an adult. You're like, man.
Yeah, I mean, because you can be in school and not have responsibilities. I think, and when you're in the school, your responsibility is to study, make sure your homework is in on time. And that's where you learn responsibilities. But really, life really begins when you start, understanding, you got to take care of things.
When it's your money, that's what it is. When it's your money, and us as young people, like Pastor Hurtado talks about, it's like we just got to be careful with it. And I think that's when we own up to our responsibilities.
Right. And that's where I think, as a lot of young people, I think you can talk about that a little bit too, is that you start seeing things a lot differently. Because you start understanding who you really are. You start seeing the things that you want to become. A lot of times as teenagers, you want to aspire to do different things when you grow. But I think when you're at that age where you make decisions, that's when your decisions that you have can become an impact in your life, in the short term or in the long term.
Yeah, the Marines, it's so interesting, because everybody thinks like, you can do whatever you want when it comes to the Marines. And it's like, yes and no. Because there's a certain amount of jobs that they have, and they're like, okay, out of these jobs, what do you want? And then as the year progresses, these jobs start closing down, and then eventually ends up like the jobs people don't want. Okay. So yes, you have that choice, but I think that also teaches you to also own up to responsibilities and just come at things face front. Like one of my friends who I train with in my base in Ellington, he works in mortuary affairs, like among all things, like he cleans up the bodies, does certain honors to them. And like, you didn't just wake up one day and say, I want to do mortuary affairs. Right. Exactly. But I love him because he just owns up to it. He's like, man, like I'm getting paid to do this, first of all. And we can talk about this, but it's somebody else, man. Yeah. It's somebody else. And I think of that example when, of maturity, of responsibility, of that guy, Right. Like he kind of sees it like funny, but I kind of take it a little bit deeper. I'm like, bro, that's deep. That's good, man. Like you show up to work and you really care for somebody else. Sometimes people don't even know this person.
Right.
and just
and that's the thing. Like I've always understood that somebody has to do every job.
Yes.
There's a lot of jobs out there in this world, and somebody's gonna have to do them. Like,
yeah,
I don't want to sound nasty, but somebody's gonna clean the septic tanks. Somebody's gonna clean up the trash, you know. And a lot of people see those jobs as, that's the worst job in the world, but that's how people pay their bills. And
yes.
every job to do, I think the most honorable thing as young people to learn, and I think you've learned this at a very young age, is to be responsible, and you're gonna have to work doing something.
Yeah.
You may not like what you're working in currently. You may say, hey, I got something better. Yes, there's always something better in your mind, you know. But, you know, one thing is that as long as you accept that responsibility, learn that you have to wake up and work every day, I think you're gonna be able to see that fruit that your life is there to give, you know.
And it's a good transition to actually talk about. That's all the more reason why church, all the reason why more Jesus is the best job you could work for, is the best ministry, dude. I'm telling you, man. Like, I left to boot camp, in all honesty, in a pursuit to see what's out there. As a pastor's kid all my life, I'm like, what's out there, man? I want to see what my friends are doing. I want to see what the world is not like. I don't want to get a taste of it. I just want to be an observer of it. And seeing that, man, you don't want any part of it.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing. Once you experience that, you know, you start seeing, man, it's not what I thought it was going to be.
It's not, dude.
Because you were born in California, right?
I was.
You was born. You're a California kid, California.
San Diego.
San Diego. I love San Diego. I got one of my best friends is from San Diego.
It's so beautiful, man. Well,
and I've been there, and it's beautiful.
It's beautiful, but unfortunately, with COVID, a lot has been shutting down, man. Yeah. So I went there recently, and
really?
Yeah, it's not what. Give it a few more years, it's going to come back.
Yeah.
But right now, give some breathing room. But it was beautiful.
It's still beautiful. I mean, the beach hasn't changed, so.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
The beach has not changed.
You're right.
So,
it hasn't.
But yeah, California kid. I met you here. I think you were like, man, 14, 15?
15
years
15.
old. Yeah, I met you for the first. Your parents, who are pastors, Pastor Mike and your mom, Sister Alicia, they're pastors here in Houston, but they were pastors in San Diego, and they were called to come to Houston. And when I met you, young kid, skinny kid, you know, I was like, you know, who is this guy?
I was skinnier before.
Yeah, like, he's still skinny. Like, he's a toothpick.
That's funny.
You know, but you know, it's interesting how God works. I think that's what's more important part of the story. I think, you know, we met, we became friends instantly. You and your brother, we became like a family. And I know it was difficult for you because at 15, I think your brother had to experience a couple things differently than you did. But I think in 15 is when you're especially in high school, you're developing those friendships that, you know, that you had to let go of. And I don't know if you're still friends with a lot of people from high school. But I mean, talk about that a little bit, what you had to experience, because I think a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people will have that, you know, a moment in their life where your parent makes a decision for you. You know, and it's not that, you know, you're mad about it or anything or upset about it, but how did you take it when, you know, your parents made that decision? Of course, I'm pretty sure they spoke with you about it, but how rough was it when knowing that you had no control over it?
That's a loaded question, but
I know it's loaded.
But I'll back up even more a little bit. I believe it was February, March of 2015 that, well, in District 2, we just do things a little bit differently.
District 2 is California.
District 2, California, Nevada, I believe Oregon. There's different states there. But District 2, things are done a little bit differently. And what I'd seen a lot was they were picking pastors from District 2. With you know, God knows why. You know, Junta Nacional knows what they're doing. And we got that call. We got that call. It's like, hey, we would like you guys to relocate as pastors. And well, first we were kind of like, no, it's for somebody else. You kind of dismiss it.
It's comfortable, man. You made your life there, you know.
Yeah.
You know?
That's another subject, but and what was I gonna say? That it's a big question, man. Like, give me a moment, and like it. You just didn't want to accept it. You know, your ties are so strong there. And then to my dad, I tell him this that it was the worst way that he could tell us.
Oh, yeah.
We were in a hotel in Las Vegas. We were visiting Las Vegas Número 2 with Pastores Narciso. And we were visiting there, and we were at a hotel, and he tells us like at 8 a.m. He wakes us up, and he's like, hey, we're going. We're accepting this calling. And we were like, what, Dad? Like, you could have waited a little bit longer to tell us. No? Yeah, a little breakfast. You know, take us out to eat or something instead of like, you said what? You know,
you're in a different time zone.
Yeah, too. And well, it was kind of hard to accept at first, and then it kind of just settled in. Being young, man, it's a lot harder to say like you can accept and settle in and just like God's will be done. God's will be done. But to answer your question, yes, it was a choice of my parents, but they also wanted our input.
Right.
They asked Michelle and I, it's like, what do you guys want to do? What do you guys not want to move? And well, in all honesty, we accepted it, man. We said if it's what you guys are saying it's best for us, we'll do it. Yeah, we'll do it. And it wasn't easy. And I've had my days, man, where I'm like, was it the best? And then think about it more, it was the best idea. And
one thing I will tell you is that that's one of the most amazing parts of your testimony. From the moment I met you guys, you know, it was clear, you know, that you missed home. You know, it was clear that you missed home. I mean, you missed California, you missed San Diego. It was clear. But at the same time, you understood that this is where you're supposed to be. You know,
that's what it was, dude.
And I think that's one of the most beautiful things, the attitude that as young people should have, because sometimes our parents are going to make decisions that we're not like, man, why'd you do that? Or what's this? But you still have to accept what's happening and trust the Lord. Yeah, dude. You know, trust the Lord that He's gonna, you know, find a way to take care of you, because He's never not taking care of us at the end of the day, you know. So He's always taking care of us, and I think that's a beautiful part of testimony that a lot of people can relate to, because especially with a lot of young people that their parents are not you know saved, you know, they live a different lifestyle than them, you know, because I know a lot of young people that they go to church, you know, they serve the Lord, but their parents are not saved.
It's hard.
And it's hard because a lot of times their parents make decisions that you're like, why would you do that? But at the same time, you got to respect your parents. You got to honor your parents. You got to love your parents, you know, whether the decisions they made, you know, heavily impacted you or not. Yeah. You know, and I think you were heavily impacted by that.
I think you saw that. Was it PK camp, Pastor's Kids camp in 2015, was it? They asked us to like give a testimony or something like that. Yeah. And I went up there. Yeah. I was bawling. You remember? I was like, I want to go back so bad. Yeah.
And that was the noticeable part. Yeah. You know, and I think as young people, that's good that you were expressing that feeling.
Yeah. And I think others could relate, like Arnold. Oh yeah. That's why we bonded. He's like, I know that hurt. I know that what you carry. And I was like, that's very meaningful. You know?
Yeah, I remember when I was in intermediate school, you know, and they're in the middle of the school year, my parents got moved here. You know, my parents moved here. We were living about 30, 40 minutes away, so my parents would commute to this area every day to service and everything. But I remember my last day of school in Otha Reeves in Conroe, and then the new day of school here in Huntsville Intermediate. And I was like, this is different. This is weird. What is going on here? Like all of a sudden life changes. Yeah. And I think you know, in the beginning was fine, but once I started growing up, things started changing real quick. And I think I'm so happy that you didn't let, you know, all this, you know, affect your life and affect your mindset. And that's where, you know, that's what I like about your testimony. One of the things I like about your testimony is that you know, it was evident, you know, but at the same time you had to find a way to overcome that.
One thing I just thought about right now is like the youth in the church are the ones to enforce change, are the ones to enforce progress. And us as young people, when we're confronted with a situation that we don't want to, accept it. Accept the change. All the more reason why you're a young person. It's a little bit different when you're older, right? Accepting change because you know how things should be done and such. But when you're a young person, that's the best time to progress. That's the best time to experience change and to know what's best for you. And
learn about yourself.
Exactly. And that's, I didn't even think of it that way when you're living in the moment. Like you learn through the past, you learn through your experiences, not in the moment. You can say you look back and you're like, wow, I feel this different, you know.
And I think as you grow up, I think you learn patience to learn to experience the moment, because I think you're so stuck on what's in the past and what you left behind. That you become impatient because you want to see progress quicker than what it should be, because progress, I think, takes time.
It's funny you mentioned that, because we actually weren't gonna move here. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, really? I
yeah,
knew that.
we were actually
Newsflash.
Yeah. Booyah. No, we when we were in San Diego, they called us to be the pastors in East Chicago.
Ooh, okay.
East Chicago. Yeah, and
that's different.
It's very different, and that's a little part of my testimony. So yeah. And that was a little bit heavier than you can say Houston, because we'd been to Houston. We knew some of the pastors here. We knew Marlon.
And you come here every year.
Yeah,
you know?
we'd been to the previous reuniones de pastores, like for the drum offs, for the going out to the mall and stuff like that. We knew what Houston was about, but it hurt a little bit more, knowing that we were initially sent to, or going to be sent to East Chicago, because it was like, we have never been there. And then my
nothing
mom.
against Chicago. Chicago's
nothing against
city,
Chicago. I heard good things about it.
Chicago's nice.
Yeah, I bet.
Nice.
I haven't been. And
good food.
Yeah. I heard the pizza's good. The deep dish pizza.
I can't think about that anymore.
Hey man, I can't. I'm skinny. You can.
But Chicago's nice.
Yeah.
You would have loved it. I think you would have loved it, but it's different.
It is. And my mom, God bless my mom. I love her so much. She did all the research. You know mothers.
Oh, yeah.
You know mothers. Yeah, she did all the research. She was like, I'm going to look for the best schools. I'm going to look for the closest house to the school, and, not too far distances. Like, she was already scouting the area. And this is where it may sound like I'm talking trash on Chicago, but let's say that it just wasn't similar to San Diego, you know?
Oh, no, it's not. I've been in both locations.
And
close.
and what I mean by that, like, the education is different, the environment is different.
Yes.
And not even that, like, currency is different.
I mean, if you compare the three cities, I mean, you can't compare the three cities.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what makes America so awesome, is that, I mean, you can go to another country, another state, and you're like in another country.
Yeah.
You know, things are completely different.
And I love my mom for that. I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just thinking, send me to a school. I don't really care. Like, just send me to a school, please. And she was the one who worried the most. Yeah. And
that's what moms are
beautiful about mothers, man.
That's what mothers do, man.
And while my dad was preoccupied as being the Secretario Nacional,
because he was on the general board.
Exactly. Yeah. He was number 3, I believe. And he was just preoccupied. We wouldn't see him as often, and my mom was the one to take care of us. You can put it that way. And I can't really get into too much detail, but something with my mom, she was like, no, I don't feel like this is the right move. I don't feel like East Chicago is what God is calling us to go to. You know, God.
And that's okay to have that feeling.
Yeah. And moms are good at discerning things, dude. Yeah, they're very good. My mom, I've seen it, and she wrote a letter to La Junta Nacional, and with Pastor Hurtado was president at the time, and I remember it was 2015. Yep, 2015. We had a District 2 convention, and he had a talk with us. He sat us down, and he was saying, he's like, this is what God's been discussing with us, that the Junta Nacional has seen it fit that you move to Chicago. And my mother, she wasn't saying it disrespectfully either. She was saying, like, oh, I feel like Houston would be the move, because as Pastor Berrios is Secretario Nacional, it would be probably a better move to be in Houston, to be closer to you guys, because Zoom didn't exist back then. No, Zoom didn't. No. It was all hello,
phone calls. And they had to meet up all the time.
Exactly, flights and planes all the time, man. Yeah, it's not that easy. And by the grace of God, we got admitted to come here to Houston. Oh, wow. Admitted to be in La Decima Church. And
it's been a blessing. You guys have been a blessing here.
Praise God, man. Praise God.
And that's what makes everything so better, is that, at the end of the day, it's like the decisions that were made or God, guides you to make are always at the right time,
Yeah. And then my mother, she had to switch all of those plans from East Chicago all the way to Houston. And it wasn't that bad because Houston was a little bit more up to date. I don't want to say Chicago is not up to date.
Yeah,
I bet it is.
It is.
What I mean by that is like it was more similar to what we had in San Diego, like International Baccalaureate, school programs, JROTC. I was a big JROTC nerd, man.
Okay.
And
I don't even know what that is.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like you pretend little army soldier in high school.
Okay. So army thing.
Yeah, I was.
I'm not.
That was all me, man. I was high up there.
And that's another thing that like the fact that you went to like military. That's man. I wouldn't able to do that. There's no way. You can catch me.
Listen,
somebody screaming at me to do a push up.
Anybody can do it.
Oh, I know.
It's right here, man. It's right here. Like if my skinny self could carry a 70-pound pack, carry a rifle with a big clunky thing on my head, and just waddle around, you can do it too.
And talking about military, what about your discipline and serving God and the discipline of military? What relations do you see there? What similarities? Basically,
that's a good question, man. It's one thing to learn discipline, responsibility, respect, leadership, dignity, integrity, all these beautiful values. It's one thing to learn it in church, but it's a completely different thing to apply it in the real world, much more the military, because it's a fighting force. It's a force that they train you to like be prepared to take somebody's life. I've never taken anybody's life. But they train you, they simulate that in you. It's like, this is why responsibility is paramount. This is why respect, this is why dignity, leadership, all these things are so essential. That's why they yell at you, because they want to drill that in your head.
Yeah.
And it's not to scare you. It's more like wake up.
Yeah.
Like wake up. And it's so beautiful because in many references the Bible refers to being a Christian like God's military. And if we can have that same sort of fire, that same respect, dignity, all these beautiful values as a Christian, man, what a beautiful army we would be.
Oh yeah.
What a strong army we would be, And I learned that firsthand as a Marine, graduating September 7th, 2018. You come back so appreciative of what your parents taught you. It's like they taught me to make my bed in the morning. They taught me to throw out the trash. They taught me look presentable, dress well, not just for God, but all together. Treat yourself, like be that person that you want to see in others, And
I think when it comes to military and serving God, I think commitment is what really
that's good, dude.
It's embedded in your mind, because when you do something, you're committed to what you're doing, and you find your way to see it through. I mean, because how many times you're probably in training or you're just like, man, I can't do this anymore.
You're telling me, man.
I'm pretty sure, I wasn't there, but I'm pretty sure there was times you're like, man, what am I doing? But you're committed, and I think that's kind of the mindset as a child of God. You got to be committed, and I think that's what a lot of young people are losing nowadays is the commitment factor. They'll embrace, something emotionally, but when they're committed to that, you can see it in their actions.
Commitment, man. It's so interesting how commitment works, because we talk about tangibility, materialistic things, right? What we can see, feel, and touch. We're so quick to be committed to these things, right? We're so committed and so easy to commit as well. I'm gonna go to work at this time. I'm gonna go to sleep at this time. I'm gonna look good. I know what I want, and right. We're so good for that.
Right.
Why can't we apply that when it comes to the spiritual things?
Right.
Why can't I be committed? Show up to ayuno. Yeah. Show up to vigilia. Man, you get what I'm trying to say.
Sir.
Like,
yes,
if we can be committed spiritually just as much as we are tangibly, materialistic wise, we're going to be much more blessed spiritually than we are going to be physically.
We're going to see quicker advancement
Exactly.
in what God wants for us. I think that's what I've noticed. And,
Yes.
And I know you're going to experience that the older you get, because, I'm pretty sure you're going to do great things.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to bring you back to talk about those great things. But,
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, one of the things about commitment that I've learned is that there's some things that can derail you from accomplishing what God wants you to accomplish, or what God has in plan for you. So those are the things you try to avoid at all costs.
Right.
And because if those things, are become present in your life, what you're committed to, you may fail.
Falters.
Yeah, you're going to fail. So I think one of the biggest things a lot of young people have issues with is those things. They don't know how to identify the things that can derail their purpose in life. And it could be something small, it could be something big, but there's always something that is going to derail, because your mindset, that's the way it works, man.
Yeah.
If you don't train your mind to a certain level, it's almost military style.
It is.
So you gotta be on point, and anything can derail you.
Yeah.
And that's where another thing about your testimony that I love is the fact that if you can speak to that, what did you do when you were in military to keep your connection with God? Because I know a lot of young people that go to the military, but they lose their connection with God.
That's so true.
So what did you do while you were there?
Well, like I said, I kind of left to kind of gauge the world, kind of understand, like, why is it that my parents say it's so bad? Like, my dad was in the Navy, and he said, like, there's nothing to it. And I was like, it's one thing for you to tell me, but I want to know. Not experience it, but I just want to know. And I left with that mentality, understand that, I to understand that, and seeing how it would distort my friends, the people I had bonded with, and to even come back after boot camp and see how the world had changed them. Not even my friends from high school, my friends from California, man. Like you kind of see, like, you open your eyes up a little bit more when you're in the military. And I come back, and my parents can tell you, it's like I just felt revived. I was like, I need to put in my 100 when it comes to church. Yeah. And I've told many people, the military isn't for everybody, man. No, it's not. And like, it's okay that you want to serve. It's okay. Like, good, do that. Like, if you really want to serve, know what you're getting into, really do. And what I'd say, what kept me grounded was just stay focused at the task at hand. Right. When I was out there, man, I'd see my friends drinking. I'd see them, do donuts in the parking lot and stuff like that. And you're kind of like, that's not what we're supposed to do, And what also helped me personally was phone calls with my parents. My mom and dad knew that I would try to FaceTime them, try to keep in contact with them. And I would look even at the lives sometimes, because that was when we were starting to put live streams on social media. That would help me. And I guess you could say stay focused at the task at hand, the commitment to what you were really there for. I don't plan to stay at the military, but I just plan to retener lo bueno y desechar lo malo. Yeah,
so it was more like a stepping stone for you to learn something.
Exactly.
Whether it was discipline, self-value, because I think we all need that. So, and I think they teach you that in the military, that you're important, and that you have to also have your brother's back.
I think self-value.
A lot of those things that you learn in the military that you won't learn in the real world
anywhere else, man.
But I think what's very important, and what I love about, there's a lot of things, like I said, that your testimony we can embrace and learn from and become educated from, is that it doesn't matter, because a lot of young people make decisions to go somewhere else, but I think the main decision is, if you go somewhere else, is it going to derail you from your walk with God? And if you are there at that stage where it has, hey man, get it together.
I'm going to say something on that, is that one of two things is going to happen if you join the military as a Christian. I'm talking the viewers. Yeah. One of two things is going to happen. If it's like my case, I came back with fired up. I came back like, I want to serve. I want to sing. I want to teach more often. I want to be leader. I came back with that fire. Or two, the opposite, man. You just get completely lost in the world. You get tangled up and you just get swept away. There's no in between. There's no, I can't even come up with an intermediate one, but it's one of the two, man. And statistics have proven, and we've seen it with our own eyes, that when Christians who don't have a good foundation join the military, they just falter away, man.
Wow.
And that's kind of more why I say the military just isn't for anybody.
Right.
And
it can become more traumatizing.
Exactly.
Than edifying.
And it's good that you want to serve, but as a Christian man, probably not.
And I think that there's a lot of young people too that see it as one of the best ways out. Like there's certain situations that they're encountering in their personal life that the military may offer room and board, they offer education, even paid school in some instance where you can walk out of there with a career.
A tax-free home loan.
Yeah,
that's a big one.
That's
people
a big one.
Go
wow.
For. Yeah.
Maybe I should have joined. Though everybody does it for different reasons. What I've understood, not everybody does it to serve or to defend the country. Because honestly, you don't walk into the military. Not everybody. There's some that do. Not everybody walks in there. Hey man, let's go to war. And let's go to war. Let's go
shoot some guns.
Let's go to war. There's some that do.
Yeah.
There's some that want to fight.
I know.
There's some that want to fight, and those are the ones that go to the next level.
Yeah,
motivated.
Yeah,
they're like, I want to be a SEAL. I want to be a Green Beret. Whatever the case may be. Yeah. But those are the ones that take it to the next level. But but there are a lot of them that are using it because what it's offered to you, it's a huge benefit. And we can't get carried. Well, not we, but they cannot get carried away from seeing that and carried away from walking away from God too, because they rely on that.
The military is also just not what it used to be. I'll put it that way.
I've heard.
Yeah. I don't want to say too much on that.
Yeah.
But I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
It's a new Marine Corps. It's a new military, and politics, religion, wars, new conflicts every single time. Yeah. And especially since we're in peacetime right now, we're in peacetime, you could say. But another war is going to come out soon, man, and now is probably not a good time. If you're trying to join the military now, probably now is not a good time to do it.
And if you do it, I think one thing you have to focus is like do it for the right reasons.
Yes. Why are you really going?
Yeah, do it for the right reasons, and not only that, always know that God has your back.
That's true, man.
And walk in there because you're gonna be alone. You're gonna meet new friends.
That helped me a lot,
faces. Man. And have that strength, man. I'm so glad that you came, man. I'm so happy that you're here.
I'm glad I came.
And I wish we could talk more about it. I think there's more experiences that you can talk to us about.
We will.
We'll talk more. But I think the three main points is, sometimes, especially with your move, you were able to embrace it, embrace a new town. But at the same time, the decision in the military, what it did for you. And I think, how were you able to maintain a relationship with God? I mean, that's important.
Those are 3 points. I didn't think about that. But
so those are the 3 points. And when I see you, when I talk to you, I think that's something I can learn from you, because we can all learn from somebody. It doesn't matter what age they are. And that, you were able to maintain your faith, and that's awesome, brother. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming. Amen. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. And we'll see you again soon, right?
We'll see you again
and I appreciate everybody that's listening. I know this is in English, and hopefully you can understand everything that we said.
Amen.
Amen.
Praise
God bless you, brother.
Bless you.
All right.